College baseball is absolutely insane. Going into regional weekend a couple days ago, Southern Miss hosted the Hattiesburg Regional, where they would host playing alongside the Virginia Cavaliers, the Jacksonville State Gamecocks, and finally the Little Rock Trojans. Now, going into it, of course, there was so much speculation of who would win because there's so many great teams in this regional. Southern Miss, one of the best mid-majors in the country. Virginia had had a solid year in the ACC, had beaten some pretty good teams, and even though they were kind of slowing down, Virginia was always, has always been a pretty good team just in general. Jacksonville State had like 45 wins. They were an amazing team. And people were picking any one of those three teams to win. Personally, I even had Jacksonville State winning, but every single person, if you'd like, had one of those three kind of big teams to go out and win it. But guess who actually won? The Little Rock Trojans, the 4 seed. What an absolute underdog story from an unbelievable team that's not even playing on Monday. They went 3-0. They went 3-0. They're not even, they didn't lose one time. It's just unbelievable to see. Now, if anyone remembers last year, Little Rock made the tournament by the skin of their teeth. They won their conference tournament despite being like a decent amount under 500, and therefore they were counted out right away. But they actually played really well. They ended up taking down Rhode Island. They ended up beating Dallas Baptist, who was amazing last year. And then in the regional final, they beat LSU on Sunday to force a game on Monday, and unfortunately just fell short to LSU, the number one team in the country, or maybe not, but they were very, very close to it. They ended up winning the national championship. And so everybody started to give Little Rock their respect. It was a very cool story, of course. It kind of got overshadowed by the fact that Murray State ended up getting all the way to Omaha. But regardless, I mean, Little Rock being able to compete at such a high level throughout the weekend just kind of shows what college baseball was all about. Now, going into this year, it was very, very different, of course. Little Rock was a better team. They actually were over 500, 10 games over, which was pretty good. They won 36 games. They had a decent year. They made it via the conference tournament. But I mean, I didn't think they had a chance, but they were screwed by getting with Virginia, Southern Miss, and Jacksonville State. I mean, those are teams that are really, really good for their seed line. Now, on Friday, of course, being the 4 seed, you have to go up against the top team in your regional. You have to go on the road, of course, because they're the team hosting the regional. And that was to play Southern Miss, a team that, of course, was heavily favored, had just come off winning the Sun Belt, and, of course, was an amazing team. But Little Rock came in there and they didn't care. The entire game, they played well. They won 7-4. They were the much better team, and they booked themselves, a trip to the second round and forced a lot of pressure on the Southern Miss team to stay alive on Saturday. Then on Saturday, they ended up taking on Jacksonville State, who took down Virginia, the team that I predicted to win the regional, Jacksonville State. Obviously, they were a good team. And they ended up facing off of Little Rock, but Little Rock, they showed resilience, they showed consistency, which I think is really important. And they ended up taking them down 8-6 to be 2-0 going into the regional final, a team that wasn't expected to even, be considered to getting a single win in the entire tournament. And then early Sunday morning, Virginia and Jacksonville State took on, after Virginia knocked out Southern Miss, by the way, matched up the 3 seed and the 4 seed in the regional final, being Jacksonville State and Little Rock. Now, going into it, I said, wow, Jacksonville State's got to win this one. I mean, they just caught a break by, not having to take on, either of the top 2 seeds. But Little Rock did not care. They beat them 6-3, and things were all done. No game seven, no super competitive, game. Little Rock just goes in there, stays consistent, and takes down Jacksonville State twice after beating Southern Miss. And there's still, 5 or 6 regionals that still have to be decided, and Little Rock isn't amongst them because they're already in the Super Regional. Now, I want to talk about the consistency of this team because I mentioned it a ton in different regional previews how if you're a bottom seed, it's not about being a consistent team. It's about how high can you spike and how long can you stay there, right? You look at a team like Milwaukee. Yeah, Milwaukee's not going to score 10 runs by the fourth inning against Auburn every single game, right? But when they did do it, it was a huge deal And now it's putting them in competitiveness to potentially go out and win this regional because they're playing Auburn, tonight on Monday night, with a chance to go through, right? But it's not about their consistency. It's about the fact that they're popping at the right time offensively, and that's helping them out a ton. Now, you look at a team like Little Rock, they're just scoring about the same runs every game. They're not doing anything too crazy. Defensively, they're just holding up, but it shows like Little Rock might be better than these teams, right? It's not, you know, they're streaky, they're super hot. No, they're just beating them consistently. They're doing things right, and it gives me faith that Little Rock isn't done next weekend. Now, Little Rock is going to have to wait until the end of Monday to figure out who they're playing. It's going to be either the regional hosts, I believe the 8 seed, the Florida Gators, or it's going to be Troy, who is the 3 seed in their respective regional. Now, if I'm Little Rock, I'm happy. Florida, yeah, they played well, but Troy's taken them down already. Troy hasn't been that good themselves, right? I, I mean, they're not going to be hosting, of course. Little Rock isn't getting to the Super Regional expecting to host, but I think this team can go on the road and give a team trouble. They did it against Southern Miss. They were able to beat Jacksonville State. I mean, these are two good teams, and the fact they were able to beat both. Now they have Florida and Troy. Look, I think if Little Rock's playing Troy, I'm probably picking Little Rock to make Omaha, right? Florida, obviously, it's a bit of a stretch, but Southern Miss is, arguably a better team than Florida, and they absolutely rinsed them, right? I mean, I see like a genuine world where Little Rock is not going, is going into, after Monday night saying we got a 50-50 shot at getting to get into Omaha, which is insane. And yeah, I just can't believe it. This team deserves it, man. After last year, almost beating LSU, being on the storylines for the team that almost did it, it was cool, but you don't want to be the team that almost did it. You want to be the team that's done it. And shout out Little Rock, man. I'd love to see him in Omaha. I'm going to two of the games in the middle of June. Oh, dude, I would love to see Little Rock make it all the way to Omaha. But anyway, shout out to the Trojans, man. I can't wait to see what they're going to be able to do here throughout the rest of the Super Regional and hopefully Omaha. And so, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and make sure to stay tuned in for more college sports coverage throughout the year.